What's the most NSFW thing you've accidentally shown someone while using your phone or computer? As a young 12-year-old boy, I was practicing for my bar mitzvah with my rabbi. He took my phone to show me something related to Judaism, and lo and behold, he found the porn I accidentally left on my browser. The rest of that religious lesson was a lecture about how porn isn't real sex and I shouldn't get the wrong idea. Super embarrassing, but at least he was cool about it and didn't tell my parents. I was showing a new hire at work how to log into the app we use to track attendance, schedules, and after your login it showed you a QR code you could use to punch in. I then told him the secret, which was to screenshot the QR code, and that way you didn't have to log in every time to punch, just scan your QR code. I then opened my gallery and showed him a lot more of me than anyone at work should see. Remember what apps you've left open? Wow, this question brought back a deeply repressed memory. When I was maybe 10 or 11, I learned how to use LimeWire, torrents, to download movies for free. I was super excited because my mom and I would always rent movies through our cable provider and it cost her quite a bit to do so. As a young kid, I thought I was being a very good son, getting us free movies and saving her money. Anyways, the Transformers movie comes out and I really want to watch it. I scour the web and find what I think is a viable download. The movie time matched up, the file size seemed right. This was the one. I was stoked. I called my mom, and her boyfriend at the time, down to the computer desk to show them what I had just found for us. I hit play and the classic movie studio intros start to play. Just when I think I've hit the jackpot, the flick cuts to an endless stream of Megan Fox nudes. Looking back now, these were all fake images with her face superimposed on random naked bodies. Regardless, I sat there with my mom for longer than I like to remember, watching images of fake Megan Fox flicking the bean flash across the screen. Safe to say that for the rest of our movie nights we stuck to paying for the real deal. It was pretty traumatizing as a young kid, but quite a funny memory looking back now. I had something similar happen when I was about 8-9. I wanted to download Yu-Gi-Oh cards to print off and play with. Booster packs were bad for getting the cards you want, and I didn't know places sold singles. Using LimeWire, I downloaded a few images assuming they were cards. First one I open up is Dark Magician Girl pissing herself. I instantly closed it and deleted all files. I had no idea why that image even existed. Oh God, I can relate to this. I remember my friends crowded around my laptop to look at some specific file in my downloads folder, forgot which one, and of course the file right below it was some Wicked Whims add-on with some title like Hard Penis Wiki Whims or something. I was mortified. Thankfully my friends didn't say anything, so either they truly didn't notice or decided to spare me from the embarrassment. Similar deal for me, but with Skyrim mods. My dad was in the room while I was installing stuff. He asked me what I was doing since he was curious and knew I liked to talk about the technical stuff I was up to, etc. So I began going into details about how the mods I'm installing will make the game look so much better, and I'm showing him comparisons of landscapes and stuff on Nexus mods. Then I scroll down and boom, naked woman in the middle of my screen. I closed the tab and my dad just kinda awkwardly walked away. I went to boarding school in the earliest 2000s. The go-to prank was making someone's laptop background porn. One day I got a good grade and I wanted to show my dad. I got home, excited, and told him Dad I'd come over here, opened my laptop, and boom, a close of two very fit brothers mid-coitus was set as my background. My father is a very stern, emotionally vacant stereotype of a Midwestern father. He paused for a while. It felt like an hour but couldn't have been more than a few seconds. I was so panicked that I kinda locked up. He put his hand on my shoulder in an oddly tender way. I love you no matter what, but you could have come out in a more subtle way probably. Explaining to him that it was in fact a prank and not me coming out was quite complicated, and that is how I accidentally showed my father gay porn. In a similar vein, I used to work at a boarding school. One of their pranks on students and carers was to find a kid who was out of his room during homework time, hack their laptop and turn on a porno at full volume, then vacate the area. Then they would wait for a supervisor to come walking past to try to get the kid in trouble. We always knew it was never the kid who actually owned the laptop who was playing it, but we had no choice but to confiscate the laptop and take it to IT support, who would inevitably find the kid's hidden porn files. Wasn't me, but the CO worker for some reason was trying to show this girl his search history and prove that he doesn't watch porn to her. He was trying to get in her pants, and me and my bud were there watching as he's showing this, and all we saw on the history was symptoms of chlamydia, and we proceeded to burst out laughing. Turns out he actually did have it. She dodged the bullet if she was ever gonna do anything with the guy. Years ago, I got taken to strip club for my bachelor party. First and only time I've been to one. On the way out, we were all given a free porn DVD. A few nights later, my wife and I were talking about our parties. She knew where we were going, and I remembered the DVD. We popped it in my laptop out of curiosity and was greeted with a standard cheesy porno. We got our laughs and forgot about it. Fast forward to a few months after her wedding. Mom's cousin and his husband had come to visit. Her cousin basically ghosted everyone in the family 20 years prior because he was gay and they were very religious. No one knew where he went or what he did. My aunt and uncle even tried to find him a couple times, having changed their stance on homosexuality because they just wanted their son back in their lives. That whole story would make for a Hallmark movie, so I'm skipping it. Basically, he went from Nebraska to Miami, married a doctor, and has a 1-acre house in Coral Gables. It's a bit of deal for him to visit home. So anyways, my mom asks about our wedding video. Since our cousin missed it, I told her, "Oh, it's in my laptop actually. Let me start it up." Well, you can guess what was actually in my disk drive. Instead of my wife walking down the aisle, my mom, gay cousin and his husband see some brunette getting railed. Her cousin joked to him, "If you're trying to make us straight, you're gonna need more than this, lol." Naturally, Mom was mortified. I played it off as a prank my groomsmen played on me that I forgot about. Dr. Mom's gay cousin was back for a visit, and instead of showing him and his husband my wedding video, they saw low-budget porn. I have an artful black and white nude picture I took of my wife as my home screen on my phone. It's one of those tasteful types with no sensitive parts showing, but it's still clearly a nude. I had to replace the protective screen on my phone, so I took it into the AT&T store to get one, and the lady behind the counter offers to change it for me. Without even thinking, I thumb the button and throw my unlocked phone on the counter. She looks at the phone, then at my wedding ring, back at the phone, and says, "Is that your wife?" I could barely mumble a yes as I realized what just happened, and she was nice enough to say she's very pretty and you two make a great couple. I don't think I said anything else except thank you, and I am quite sure I turned about 47 shades of red before I could scurry out of there. I went home and told my wife about it, and she left a very sweet 5-star review for the lady. I was scrolling through Twitter in my history class as I usually did when I had completed all of my schoolwork, but one of the tweets was the Pornhub intro. I panicked and scrolled away as someone would do in that situation, and at first no one really responded, so I began to think no one noticed. Then out of nowhere, one of the girls in the back of my class said, "Hey, insert name here, are you watching porn?" So obviously I went into full panic mode and tried my best to explain it was some meme on Twitter, but before I could finish my sentence the girl said, "Hey, don't worry about it. We all watch porn, there's nothing to be embarrassed about." At this point the whole class, including my teacher, was just staring me down. I didn't know how to respond. I couldn't respond, so I just kinda put my head down and started working on some homework, also known as me writing something down in my notebook. I was reading a comic that had a shirtless moment for the dude, but it was obviously supposed to be kinda steamy looking and stuff. Detailed nipples, steamy breath, etc. The nipple, however, got a really odd placement, and I thought it was weird and wanted to screenshot it to send to a fellow art friend to see if I was crazy or if they agreed that it was odd. but I forgot to delete said screenshot, and while trying to show a meme to someone who I wasn't super familiar with it, I accidentally showed them, and they definitely thought it was porn. They were really cool about it though and were like, "You do you," and walked off as I shouted that it was for an art thing. When I was a teacher, I usually had my computer screen displayed on the smartboard so I could reference online material. One lunch hour, a student who knew I was an action movie fan told me that there was a new 30XXX, those Van Diesel movies, coming out. I was excited, and without really thinking about it I typed in 30 into my search bar and hit enter. I meant to type '30 trailer, but yeah, a giant list of porn websites showed up on the computer and the class started laughing. Edit: I should add that I was a high school teacher, so this didn't happen in front of a bunch of 8-year-olds. One time I had just started a new job at Yelp and there was a dude in my training class that wore awesome skull face paint for Halloween at work. It reminded me of this local artist that does body paint, who I was friends with on Facebook. I thought to myself, this guy would be interested in seeing this work, so I had him come over to my computer and I couldn't pull up Facebook for some reason, so I searched for the artist on Google. At this point a couple other people on my team had walked over and were standing around over my shoulder as I looked for this body painting artist. Well, turns out he only showed the top portion of his body painting on Facebook. So when we clicked on his website we were greeted with a huge colorful display of rainbow-painted cocks completely covering the screen. Turns out his body painting was actually very erratic, still awesome looking, but I had no clue it was going to be just filled with dicks. The screen was just stuffed to the edges with high-definition schlongs. Can't remember exactly how I explained my way out of that one, but it was pretty awkward. Dr. I accidentally invited coworkers at my new job over to my computer to show them a website full of artistically painted penises. A few years ago, I was showing a friend, coworker, some pictures I had shot while on vacation in Florida. I was just swiping through, telling him the story of the picture, where it was, etc. And then hit a picture of me and my, at the time, wife in the hotel. You couldn't see much of me, but was an amazing view of my wife, fully naked, in cowgirl position, straddling me, and leaning back. I just said, "That's Sammy." Obviously, we were at the hotel in bed in this shot. He laughed, I laughed, and I never told my wife that one of my coworkers had seen her naked and riding me. Back when I had Twitter I used to follow a few porn stars I'm a fan of. Anyway, in addition I followed a few political figure accounts as well. Anyway, one day I had seen a tweet from a political commentator I thought my parents should see since they didn't have Twitter, so I bring up my Twitter on their laptop and in a brief moment of realization it dawned on me there's a decent chance they may see something they're not at all expecting. Sure enough, there's a pic of Genevieve Jolie spread eagle. Horrified describes my reaction best. We were having a problem with people stealing vanilla extract from our shelves. It really ticked off one of my fellow managers who made it her side quest to catch them in the act. One morning she takes a photo of a guy she thought it was guilty of this and wanted to show myself another manager. She was very proud that she got this photo and quickly opened up her phone and held it out to show us. What she didn't realize was she didn't click on the photo itself, so instead of showing us that one picture, we could see her most recent photos, one of this homeless dude and then a series pics of her blowing her boyfriend. She was eager to catch this guy and slipped it back in her pocket as she scurried off. I asked Dan if he saw what I saw and he nodded and said, "You don't think that's the same guy, right?" Dude, I kinda hope this gets buried, but I've been thinking about this for a while. So, about 14 maybe 13 years ago I started doing drugs. Cocaine and meth. What happens when you do these drugs, as a dude? Your little man shrinks up like crazy. I'm talking 90% of it just gone, especially on meth. So I thought it was hilarious, literally just a tiny little grub worm sticking out between my legs, so I took a photo. Forgot about it. Next day we're at a house party thing and I hand my phone to some girl to show her something and she swipes on my phone. We both just stood there looking at it for like 10 seconds. I grabbed my phone, She turned to talk to someone else and I left. Clean off all drugs now, been clean for a while now. I was the witness but, at a wedding I was drunk and talking crap to an uncle about greyhounds which he owned and raced. They got a new one and so takes out his phone to Google this race he's entered into. Hits Chrome and it's Pornhub hardcore stuff. Guy panicked and starts fumbling, trying to close tabs but it's not working. He hits play on one, and this advert starts before the video. Really loud wanna make me come baby etc. and there was a kind of lull so loads of people heard. He just dropped the phone and walked out of the room, hysterical. I had been looking at reference photos for some NSFW artwork, and hadn't cleared my browsing history. I showed a coworker something on my phone and she went to type in a different Google search and up pops my recent searches. She then reads out ball-gagged women? ? With the loudest shrieking laughter I've ever heard. So now the entire kitchen and probably half the restaurant knows I'm kinky, TBF that's laughably vanilla compared to some of the other stuff I've looked up so in all seriousness it could have been so much worse. When I worked in customer service, about 20 octoseconds ago, it was for a major cell phone company. The phones had just come out with options for cameras. No video, but still, a coworker and I were crushing hard on each other and wound up having sex in the stairwell between two floors, neither of which led to our offices. Probably was his phone was open and somehow took pictures. When someone entered the stairwell we had just about finished, walked away, only for him to send me text messages with the pictures attached. In an email, I was so grateful I didn't check that on the work computer, but the work phone was enough damage. I work in IT and one day we had a major network outage so I used my phone to quickly Google something about a command for a Cisco switch that I had forgot. So here I am sitting in a chair with 3-4 coworkers looking over my shoulders trying to keep up with what was going on and bam, shemales jerking each other's on my iPhone's browser. The night prior the incident, me and my GF had an argument about how some trans are looking seamlessly better than a lot of natural women's. So just to prove my point I googled and clicked on the first result, won my argument and then just laid my phone on the table and forgot about it. It was an awkward moment. I was a young soldier in the army. I was hooking up with these sisters, best friends who lived together. One was a stripper and the other was a bartender for the bar under the strip club. Anyways, they would steadily send me pictures and videos of them when I was at work. I was talking to my brigade level S1 Koyak, human resources, master sergeant type, who was an older black female who was the lead sharp, sexual harassment and rape prevention, and equal opportunity officer for the division. I'm sure you can see where this is going. But I went to show her something on my phone and somehow it went straight to a group chat and played a video of them winking their assholes at the camera asking for when I was coming home. The worst part was that it was in their office, speakers on loud, and all you can hear is "we want your tongue in our asshole." To this day I have no idea what made that video play when I was just trying to show pictures from my deployment. I'll never forget the looks of all the senior NCOs and officers. I think I mopped the rain and raked the sand for a month. I was doing my clinical rotations and shadowing the sterile's microbiology bench for the day. The previous day an inexperienced person had been working the set-up desks so we were getting a lot of cultures in our stack that were not from sterile body sources. We got to a set of plates, scanned them and the source popped up as pilonidal cyst. I told my preceptor that's not a sterile source and explained it was a butt crack abscess. For some reason he decided to Google image search it right there in the middle of the lab. The whole screen filled with pictures of infected butts. He took that in for several seconds then out of the browser and said "You're right, that's not a sterile body source." We gave the plates to the miscellaneous bench. Freshman year of high school, I was hanging out with this super cute girl that I had a massive crush on. We were arguing over something so I pulled my phone out, opened Google, and bam, American Dad porn. I was already extremely socially awkward and that didn't exactly increase my chances with her any. Last time I forgot to clear my browser history.